Welcome. I want to start with a reset. This is not a presentation about how to sell more popcorn. This is about how we maximize the time we are already spending without making the sale feel forced on our scouts or our families. We are going to start with Constellation District specific information. How we are going to work together to grow the sale this year, how we will better support units at the district level, and how we can use the hours we already have more efficiently. Then we will cover the key council and Trails End updates. This could have been an email version of what changed this year. After that, we will move into the Popcorn 201 material, the tools, systems, and logistics that help units run an efficient and effective sale. I want to be very explicit here. This is not subtle. We are not selling popcorn. We are asking people to support scouting. Popcorn is the vehicle. Scouting is the ask. That language matters. It matters when we talk to families. It matters when we train scouts. It matters when a scout walks up to someone at a storefront. We need to get this into our heads, into our parents' heads, and into our scouts' heads. We are not asking people to buy a product. We are asking people to support the program, the camping, the activities, the leadership development, and the experiences that scouting provides. Customers evaluate. Supporters believe. If we treat the people walking by our tables as customers, they are going to compare prices. They are going to look for product value. They are going to ask whether this bag of popcorn is worth the price compared to something on a grocery store shelf. That is not the frame we want. We want to treat them as potential supporters. So when you talk about this program to families, avoid the word customer. Use supporter. Use potential supporter. Use someone who supported our scout. If our scouts sound like salespeople, they get compared to salespeople. If they sound like scouts asking for support, they get supported. As a district, we are operating in a very different environment than the national average. Nationally, storefront utilization is about 25 to 30% of available hours. At the council level, the average also looked close to that same range. But Constellation District is operating at roughly 70% utilization. That matters. For a while, this was hidden because the council average looked normal. Trails End was looking at the council-wide data and seeing something that looked like the national average. But when we pushed them to look at our district specifically, they saw what we have already been feeling. We are not behind. We are constrained. More storefront hours would help. There is no question about that. And we are working on that. We are working with Trails End, and we are also going to work as a district to identify additional opportunities that can be put into the pool for units. But we cannot wait for more hours before we start improving. The hours we already have are valuable. In Constellation District, storefront hours are a precious resource, and we need to treat them that way. So yes, more storefronts help. But better execution starts now. Our job is to make every hour count. The way we solve this is not by pushing families harder. It is not by dragging scouts along. It is not by making the sale feel like a forced obligation. It starts by changing our role. Every adult involved in this sale is a coach, not just a leader, not just a director, not just a colonel, a coach. Our job is not simply to run the sale. Our job is to develop the scout. And coaching is not just advice. Coaching is structured learning built on repetition, feedback, and gradual independence. That is the mindset shift. Scouts do not improve just because they show up. They improve because they try, receive feedback, adjust, and try again. That is the cycle. Attempt, reflection, adjustment, repeat. If we skip that cycle, performance stalls. That applies to scouts, and it also applies to families. When a family finishes a shift, we should not just take back the product and move on. We should be asking what happened. What went well? What was difficult? Was there anything that prevented success? Sometimes the issue is outside anyone's control. Sometimes the storefront was slow. Sometimes the weather was bad. Sometimes something unusual happened at the location. But sometimes the issue is fixable. and if we do not ask, we will never know. This coaching model is simple. First, I do, we teach. Second, we do, we guide. Third, you do. The scout owns it. Support decreases as skill increases. The goal is independence, not control. For Cub Scouts, this often means the adult begins with more direct involvement, modeling the script, helping the scout understand the ask, and actively coaching. As confidence builds, the adult steps back. For Scouts BSA, this looks different. Adults coach the youth leaders. Youth leaders coach other scouts. The structure is still there, but ownership moves to the youth much earlier. That is the point. We are not trying to create dependency. We are trying to build capability. This is where many people get it wrong. They jump into the interaction. A parent sees a scout stumble, miss part of the script, or hesitate, and the instinct is to save them. But when we jump in, we kill the learning. Instead, observe. Do not interrupt an active supporter interaction unless there is a safety issue or a truly necessary reason. Capture 1 or 2 coaching points. Then, after the interaction, ask, what went well? What would you change? That keeps the scout in the driver's seat while still giving them the support they need to improve. This is where the gains come from. Not at the end of the season. Not in a survey after everything is over. Immediately after the shift. Think of it as the driveway moment. When the family comes back to return product, that is one of the most valuable coaching opportunities you have. Do not let them just drop everything off and leave. Ask, what worked? What did not work? What will we change next time? Did they run out of a product? Did they have enough change? Was the battery charged? Did the scout understand the script? Did the setup work? If you are trying to tune the sail at the end of the season, you have missed the opportunity. The coaching happens during the sail, while there is still time to adjust. This is the connection we cannot miss. Coaching is not a feel-good activity. It directly drives performance. Better conversations create more supporters. More supporters create more revenue per hour. And because we are constrained on hours, revenue per hour matters. This is not about pushing scouts harder. It is about helping them become more confident, more prepared, and more effective. Efficiency is a coaching outcome. There are a few things we need to avoid. First, interrupting scouts. If we interrupt, we teach dependency. Second, speaking for them. If we speak for them, we cap their growth. Third, forcing participation. That creates resentment and turns the sale into something families want to escape. Fourth, ignoring failed shifts. If a family has a very low-performing shift and we do not ask what happened, that shift will repeat. Maybe the scout was sitting behind the table. Maybe the scout did not know the script. Maybe the parent was doing all the talking. Maybe the scout needed motivation, training, or a different pairing. We cannot fix what we do not observe, and we cannot coach what we never ask about. Let's talk about the numbers. Last year, Constellation District units booked 81 Trails End storefront shifts that were either completely unworked or severely underperformed. For this analysis, severely underperformed means less than $100 for the shift. If those shifts had performed at the average for the unit that booked them, not at PAC 332's average, not at the top performing average, just at that unit's own average, the district would have generated an additional $32,000 in sales. That is money that was already sitting inside the schedule. It was not theoretical. It was not dependent on finding brand new storefronts. It was capacity we already had but did not fully capture. That is 35% missed growth. This is not about people not trying. This is not about lack of effort. This is inconsistency in execution. Every district has a spectrum. We have strong selling scouts and smaller sales. We have struggling scouts and strong sales. We have units that are already very efficient and units that have room to grow. That is normal. The point of looking at this data is not to blame anyone. The point is to understand that the capacity already exists. The district median is $165 per shift. The median value of underworked opportunity for units was a little over $3,000. That is a coaching opportunity. This is not a name and shame slide. This is not about celebrating one unit over another. This is about level setting what is possible. We are operating in the same general territory. We are using many of the same types of storefronts, but performance varies significantly. The district median is $165 per shift. Some top performing units are seeing $400 to $500 or more per shift. That gap tells us there is still capacity inside the system. And the goal is to identify what is repeatable, coachable, and scalable. We are not simply saying do better. The purpose of this presentation is to show how. If we improve execution, the opportunity is significant. Last year, Trails End storefront shifts produced about $91,000 for the district. If each unit improved performance toward the top performing level, those same booked shifts could have produced approximately $157,000. That is a 72% increase, without adding a single shift. And yes, we are still going to work on getting more hours. But this proves that there is already a major opportunity inside the hours we have. More efficient use of time also means less time selling. The goal is not to keep scouts selling forever. The goal is to help every scout and every unit get to their goal as efficiently as possible, and then get back to scouting. With Cub Scouts, we build confidence first. We teach, then we guide, then we support. At the beginning, Cub Scouts need more adult help. We explain what popcorn is funding. We teach the script. We provide the tools. We model what good looks like. Then we let the scout practice. As the scout gains confidence, the parent steps back. Eventually, the scout can lead the interaction while the adult handles logistics, safety, and payment support. Confidence creates participation, and participation leads to improvement. With Scouts BSA, the model changes. Adults still have a role, but the role is different. Scouts BSA is youth-led and adult-guided. That adult-guided part still matters. We do not simply hand the sale to youth leaders and say, good luck. We train youth leaders. That might be the SPL, patrol leaders, a youth popcorn chair, or a scout who is already a strong seller. Then those youth leaders teach the rest of the troop. Adults coach the youth leaders. Youth leaders coach other youth. Adults step back, youth step up. I want to call out something I had to unlearn myself. For a long time, I assumed popcorn was mainly for younger scouts. I assumed that much of the success came from the adorable factor. And yes, younger scouts can get someone to stop. They can get attention. They can create that first moment of connection. But older scouts can do something different. They can sustain the conversation. They can handle rejection. They can adjust their approach. They can think critically about what is working and what is not. They are more coachable. Nationally, many of the top sellers are Scouts BSA members. The sale does not become less effective as scouts get older. It changes. It shifts from attention-based selling to skill-based selling. Adorable gets attention. Skill gets results. Now that we have talked about coaching and efficiency, let's talk about what changed this year. Before we move into the mechanics of running the sale, I want to pause and cover what changed this year. These are not minor administrative updates. They are also not changes that should scare anyone, but they do affect how you plan inventory, how you coach families, how you set goals, and how you access storefront hours. The good news is that many of these changes support the efficiency model we just talked about. We have changes to the product mix. We have changes to the prize program. We have changes to storefront booking. We have changes to shift release. And Trails End now sees the district capacity issue that we have been feeling. The first change is product. Popping corn is gone. It was a low-performing item, and it has been replaced with pre-popped sea salt popcorn at $20. So we still have a $20 item replacing a $20 item. The operational impact is the case size. We are replacing a smaller 9-bag box with a larger 12-bag box. That means your usual loadout may not fit the same way in the same vehicle or storage space. For units that had a standard shift loadout, you need to reevaluate that loadout. Do not find out at 7:30 on a Saturday morning that your normal setup no longer fits. Before the first weekend, physically test your loadout. Prices and product sizes are generally stable, so this is not a pricing reset, it is a planning adjustment. The prize program has also changed. There is now a $600 minimum before a scout begins earning rewards. That does raise the floor, but there is also an important improvement. Previously, if a scout finished between prize levels, value could be lost from a rewards perspective. Now scouts continue earning rewards as they sell, even between major prize levels. When a scout reaches a major prize level, there is still a bonus point boost at that level. So the message to families should be balanced. Yes, the floor is higher, but for most scouts who are actively selling, the reward curve is better. They continue to make progress between levels, instead of feeling like only the major prize thresholds matter. The biggest operational change is storefront booking. Each unit receives a budget of storefront hours. That budget is based on past performance and the future goal your unit enters in Trail's End. So if your goal is not entered, Trail's End does not have the right signal. Please make sure your unit goal is registered in Trail's End as soon as possible. Distance matters too. Trail's End is looking at where units are, what their goals are, and how far families are willing to travel. That helps identify whether there are enough hours in the places where they are actually needed. Be honest with your goal. Be honest with your travel distance. If your budget feels wrong, do not sit on the issue. Confirm your goal is entered. Review your travel distance settings. Then reach out to me or Justin. The earlier we know, the more options we have. There are also important improvements to shift release. Previously, unclaimed shifts were released on Thursday. For weekend shifts, that left very little time to communicate with families and fill open hours. That is moving to Tuesday. That gives units more time to see available hours, communicate with families, and pick up unused shifts. Units can also release portions of shifts they know they cannot use. That is a major improvement. If you know your families are not going to work 7 to 8, do not hold that hour, release it. Let another unit use it. This is how we reduce waste across the district. Unused hours need to move faster. There is one more important storefront issue to call out. Last year, Trail's End focused heavily on high hourly rate shifts. That makes sense on the surface. No one wants to put units in places where they are unlikely to succeed. But one of the side effects was that weekday, Lowe's hours were not booked. That removed hundreds of hours from the council storefront inventory. I identified the issue last year and requested council-wide restoration. That part is on me. I did not verify that it happened across the board. Only Havertown was restored. That created pressure because units looking for weekday hours compressed into the same restored location. This year, we identified that the same issue happened again. Havertown weekday hours have been reloaded, and I am staying on Trail's End to ensure the other Lowe's locations are addressed as well. The goal is simple. Restore available hours, reduce pressure on oversubscribed locations, and improve access across the district. And do not overlook weekday hours. Weekday hours give families more options and help spread risk beyond the weekends. This is an important point. At the council level, utilization looked normal because the council average sat around the national average. But when Trail's End looked closer, they saw what we already felt. Constellation District is not operating like the average district. We are around 70% utilization. That means the problem we have been feeling is now visible to the Trail's End storefront team. I am working directly with them to address it from their side. I am hopeful, but I am also realistic. Some improvements may help this year. Some may help more next year. But the important thing is that the gap is now visible to the people who can help fix it. But we are not powerless. Trails End has work to do. Council has work to do. The district has work to do. And units have work to do. We need to manage this resource much more carefully. If we book a shift, we need to work it or release it in a timely way. If a shift underperforms, we need to coach it. If we cannot use an hour, we need to release it. If we find a new opportunity, we need to share it. This is not about a gotcha moment. This is the same coaching model we just talked about. What happened? How can we help? What can we do better? That is how we turn limited hours into higher output. Finally, we are improving district communication. I am inviting unit popcorn leaders to join a district WhatsApp group. The purpose is not chatter. The purpose is operational coordination. Open shifts, product needs, quick questions, real-time issue solving, new storefront leads. Facebook is still useful, especially for broader council-level product exchange, but email and Facebook are often too slow for live operations. If a shift opens, if a location issue happens, if someone needs product quickly, or if a unit has an opportunity to share, we need a faster communication loop. That is what this group is for. If we want to operate efficiently, we need to communicate efficiently. Now we are moving into the third part of the presentation. Popcorn 201. This is the University of Scouting style training. This is about building the machine. The first section was about the district problem and district opportunity. The second section was about what changed this year. Now this section is about how to run the sale efficiently and effectively at the unit level. Phase 1 is the crew and the kickoff. This is where the foundation gets built. If this part is weak, everything else becomes harder. If this part is strong, the rest of the sale becomes much more manageable. Welcome to 201. In my day job, I manage major incidents and reduce risk. I do not rely on luck. I rely on systems. That is what we are doing today. We are stopping the hope strategy, hoping the weather is good, hoping families show up, hoping people understand what to do. Instead, we are building the machine. We are going to engineer a popcorn sale based on proven best practices and hard data. If you build the machine correctly, the result is not a gamble. It is a calculation. You cannot build this engine alone. You need a crew. Or, to keep with the coaching model, you need a coaching staff. The most important role for this crew surrounds the kickoff, and we will get to that next. Outside the kickoff, you need committee members to help run the sale. That means picking up product, dropping off product, moving inventory, securing show and sell shifts, coaching families, troubleshooting the app. A good committee is not just for planning. A good committee lets the sale keep operating even when you need a break. They are also a focus group. They can help you test ideas, provide course corrections, and keep the sale aligned. I have provided sample position descriptions in the toolkit. Do not just ask for help. Recruit for a task and a purpose. The kickoff is the engine starter. You need a venue that is unique, self-contained, and exciting. Something scouts do not do every week. Something that makes them want to come. Think bowling. Think splatter paint. Think unique birthday party type locations. But there is one critical rule. The activity must run itself. It cannot require parents or most leaders to supervise. The reason is simple. Parents need to be separated and focused entirely on the business of the sale. If the parents are watching the kids, they are not building buy-in. The best kickoff activity is exciting enough to draw families in, but independent enough that the adults can focus on the mission. I am providing a full kickoff deck and recording, so I am not going to spend time walking through every kickoff slide. Instead, let's talk about the experience. You need product at the kickoff. Scouts need to taste every flavor so they can authentically talk about what they like. You need to physically demonstrate the storefront setup. Show them how the table is pushed back. Show them how the scout stands in front. Show them how the scout approaches a potential supporter. And finally, you must collect commitments. Encourage families to act now and set a goal. This tells you the temperature of the room. Give families a sheet that does the math. Selling this many bags equals roughly this many hours, which equals this much money toward the goal. Make the math visible. Do not make families calculate it on their own. This is one of the most important tools we give scouts at the kickoff, the magic script. The scout tastes the popcorn, chooses a favorite flavor, and writes that favorite flavor on the script. Then the scout writes their name. Now the scout has personalized the tool. It serves two purposes. First, it is a teleprompter. If the scout forgets what to say, the script is right there. Second, it is an anchor. The scout can hold it while speaking, which gives the scout a little confidence and structure. Then, when appropriate, the scout can hand the menu to the supporter. When the scout hands the menu to the supporter is no longer just walking past. They are part of the conversation. That gives the scout a chance to explain what they are doing, what scouting is funding, and why the support matters. Not every interaction will become a sale, but this gives the scout a better chance to earn support. Now we move into strategy. This is the part where we stop hoping the sale works and start managing the sale intentionally. Strategy is where we align goals, manage risk, and intervene early. Let's circle back to the commitments gathered at the kickoff. When you analyze those commitments, be conservative. Yes, families could perform perfectly, but plan for them to be human. If the commitments do not match your budget or your unit goal, you need to pull a lever. Maybe attendance was low, visit the dens. Maybe commitments were low. Hold a second mini kickoff. Maybe families need a recorded version they can watch later. The point is, do not order popcorn and hope. Align your goals early. Use the kickoff commitments to understand where your sale really stands, then adjust before you are too far into the season. We do not open the entire calendar at once. We limit choice to manage risk. Open early shifts first. Fill the schedule sequentially. That gives you momentum. It also gives you a diagnostic tool. If a family set a goal but did not sign up for any shifts, now you know. That becomes a coaching opportunity. Maybe the dates did not work. Maybe they had a technology issue. Maybe they misunderstood what was expected. Maybe they need a weekday. Maybe they need help booking manually. If you release everything at once, those families can disappear into the noise. If you release shifts intentionally, you buy yourself time to identify problems and recover families before the sale gets away from you. Engineered scarcity is not about withholding opportunity. It is about controlling the sale so you can coach effectively. Now we move into logistics and execution. This is where a lot of colonels get overwhelmed. Product, storage, cases, payments, storefront setup, technology. But if you simplify the system, the sale becomes much easier to manage. I hear the space concern constantly. I do not have room. So let's look at the physics. I stored $20,000 worth of popcorn in my basement. I measured it. It took up 26.8 square feet. That is 214 cubic feet. That is not nothing, but it is also not as much space as most people imagine. Popcorn is dense value. If you stack it vertically and manage it carefully, a large amount of product can fit in a manageable space. Do not let fear of storage automatically limit the sale. Order thoughtfully. Know your data. Know what is realistic. But do not assume the product footprint is impossible before you actually calculate it. To keep your sanity, send out full cases. They do not have to be sealed, but they should be full. Full cases make the math easy. If you send out a partial case, now you need to remember exactly what was in it. If you send out full cases, you count what comes back and calculate what sold. Keep only one partial case per flavor open at a time. As product returns, rebuild full cases. This makes inventory easier, faster, and less stressful. Then track hourly burn rate. After enough shifts, you should know approximately how much product your unit moves per shift. Use that to project what you need through the next resupply point. If you are going to run short, do not wait. Use the Facebook group. Use the district communication channels. Reach out, manage product before the emergency happens. Keep the setup low drag. The Scout sells the popcorn. The display does not sell the popcorn. The banner does not sell the popcorn. The tablecloth does not sell the popcorn. You need a table product payment capability and a Scout standing in front of the table. Posters and tablecloths are not bad. If they bring you joy, use them. But they are usually low ROI compared to having more product available, fewer things to carry, fewer things to break, and fewer distractions. Every inch of trunk space used by extra display materials is space not used for product. Keep it simple. Keep it light. Keep the focus on the Scout and the supporter. Finally, technology. Use reliable payment tools. Bluetooth square readers have been very reliable, and they are inexpensive. Even if tap-to-pay exists, a separate reader can still be easier and safer than handing over or tapping directly on an expensive phone. But the bigger point is cash to credit. Cash creates work. Cash creates risk. Cash has to be counted, tracked, stored, and deposited. Trails End provides incentives for converting cash to credit. At the end of a shift, parents can charge the cash sales to their own card, keep the cash, and the Scout receives the appropriate credit and rewards. That means less cash handling, less risk, fewer deposits, and more reward progress for the Scout. If a family does not want to do that, that is okay. But as a unit, understand the option and use it where it makes sense. The goal is less risk, less work, and more rewards. I am not leaving you empty-handed. The toolkit includes the kickoff presentation and recording, magic script templates, tracking spreadsheets, position descriptions, and additional resources. You will also have access to examples you can adapt for your own unit. Take this work and use it. You do not need to rebuild the machine from scratch. And remember, you cannot do this alone. If you are asking people to volunteer their time, give them clarity, give them a role. Give them a purpose. Give them a position description. My role at the district level is the same coaching role we talked about today. You are the coaches for your units. I am here to help coach and support you. If you want help reviewing your data, planning your sale, understanding your burn rate, or thinking through your storefront strategy, reach out. The goal is simple. Help every unit use its time better, help every Scout reach their goal more efficiently, and get everyone back to scouting.